Whether you are in the research phase of your handmade business or you've been at it for a few months or maybe your first year, I have a few tips to share with you based on some things I did really well and also some mistakes I made to help you thrive in your business from now to beyond. Hello, if you are new to my channel, my name is Sky. I am the owner of Skylight, a candle company that I have owned since November of 2019. And since being in business, I have made a lot of mistakes. I've also done some things really well, and I'd like to share those with you today. So my first tip is for you to think about what you are getting into when starting a handmade business. This is something that I totally underestimated when I started, and I think it's really important for you to take the time and think about all the moving parts. You're gonna need to order supplies, take inventory of raw materials, make sure that you pack products, ship, label, and all those different things. And it's a lot more to do than a typical traditional business. Think about it this way. When you are starting a handmade business, you are handling both the manufacturing and the retail portion of the business. Typically, these are two totally different business models, and when you're doing a handmade business, you're essentially running two businesses in one. So my advice to you, if you are looking to start a handmade business, is to think about if that's something that you really want to get into. Are you a person that always likes DIYs and crafts and doing things like that? A lot of handmade businesses end up closing because they underestimate how much time and labor it really takes to own one. And I can say that this is something that I didn't really think through when I was starting my business. So the second tip that I want to share with you is something that I know you've heard before, but it is so freaking important that I want to make sure that you guys get this. Make sure that you're starting off with small amounts of inventory, because when you're first starting, you want to focus on learning how to sell and building some type of community around your products and around your brand. You can find yourself in a real hot financial mess if you continue to buy inventory without knowing how to sell it. Another thing that kind of ties with this, if you have a product that goes on the skin, or maybe you have candles or some type of handmade product that could affect someone's home or their health, make sure that you are testing it. But another thing that goes alongside this is when you are testing, don't get too stuck in the testing phase that you never launch. You want to make sure that your products are safe and that they won't damage anything, but you're not looking for them to be perfect. It is pretty much 100% unpreventable. When you are maybe a year or two down the line, you're gonna have content, you're gonna have products that you look down the line and laugh at. And it's just a part of the growing process. Don't make being perfect be the reason why you do not launch. However, just keep in mind that as you are in business and you go along, you are going to get better at what you're doing. You are going to get better with time, and you don't want the idea of perfection to stop you from launching in the first place. All right, my third tip, and something that I wish I did sooner, is to expand locally. I've recently gotten into more local stores in the past year, and I just regret not doing this sooner. So there's different ways that you can go about this. A lot of people prefer to just go to the shop with their product and talk to whoever's working. So maybe if you sell earrings, coming with the earrings that you would think would do well in the store, or if you have t-shirts or candles or bath scrubs, whatever it is, and showing them your product. I personally prefer to send emails. I just think that it's a little easier that way. When you're sending an email, you could just tell them a little bit about you, tell them a little bit about what you sell and what you think would do well in the store, along with some links. Things that you can send in the email are a link to your website, maybe a link to your fair or a bound website, depending if you use wholesale platforms, maybe a line sheet. But what I really like to do is create a catalog on Canva with my best-selling products. So it's a PDF where, as opposed to like a wholesale site, they won't need to have a login or be so confused with a line sheet and not know what they're getting. But actually having a catalog with pictures of your product with their wholesale and retail price, and so that if they're interested in it, there's a visual where they can see it. If you feel like you're getting some value from my video, make sure that you hit the like button and even consider subscribing so that you can see future videos like this. Number 4 is something that I did really well, and that is applying for grants. Now hear me out, because I know y'all are probably gonna be like, girl, what is the likelihood of me actually getting a grant? I felt like that too. But in the past, I have received 3 grants. One of the grants that I won allowed me to have a 3-month pop-up shop in my local community. The other one was for $10,000 and helped me with the move-in costs for my warehouse that I had for a year. And then the other one I'll be telling you about soon, but it's a little bit too early to announce. You will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Apply for as many of the grants that you come across, and also look out for grants in your local community. Because there's less competition for them, you are actually in a better position to get them. Tip that I have for you for grants is is if you do end up winning a grant, make sure that you are setting aside some money for taxes. I always set aside about 20 to 25%, even though that is kind of a little much. But Uncle Sam is going to come and take his money, whether you like it or not. And that is something that I didn't know for my first grant that kind of set me back a little bit, but that's just a side note. Editing Sky here, featuring our Brood Awakening candle from Skylight. But I just wanted to say, do not feel discouraged if you apply for quite a few grants and don't get them. They are highly competitive and the chances of getting one are slim, but it is not zero. So I encourage you to continue to apply, even if you have to work through a few rejections before you get a yes. So number 5 is something that I did pretty well, and that is to diversify my social media channels. This is so much easier to do when you are first starting versus trying to do this later on down the line. I know that a lot of us focus so much on TikTok because it's a little easier than other platforms, but not really easy at all. But it's easier than other platforms to go viral on TikTok. But I'm here to tell you that slow and steady wins the race, and you should be repurposing your content on several different platforms for social proof. I use my social media platforms for brand awareness, right? And a lot of times when we are on social media, maybe we're on one platform and maybe post 2 times, you'll get discouraged and thinking, oh, this didn't get likes or this didn't get sales. But once you actually get an idea of what purpose social media is supposed to serve in your business, you'll see that you're actually doing a lot better than you think. So for example, in my business, social media is used for lead generation. So the purpose of my Instagram and my TikTok and my Pinterest is to get as many eyes on my business as possible and to get potential customers to click the link in my bio. The purpose of my Instagram or my social media channels in general is not to drive sales, because I don't expect someone to purchase something the first time they see a post or assume that they're gonna buy something just because they like the post. It is my responsibility once I get someone on my website to drive the sale, and that could be SMS, that can be email marketing, that could be retargeting ads, all those different areas. But once you kind of change your expectations of social media and know what role it plays in your business, you'll find that you're doing a lot better than you think. And just keep in mind that likes do not equal to sales. Your goal is to get as many people on your website as possible and try to convert them, and that is a skill that you will need to build over time. I would say in the beginning phases of your business to focus more so on building community and getting people to know you and your brand and what you stand for and your products, and have them raving about it, rather than focusing so much on trying to get sales off of every Instagram or TikTok post. So being that we just talked about diversifying your social media platforms, number 6 is going to be to diversify your sales channels. I'm not telling you to bite off more than you can chew when you're first beginning, but I do want you to think about it and have a plan for how you plan on growing. So when it comes to wholesale, there's several different platforms that you can look into. There's Fair, Hello Abound, Tundra, IndieMe, and several other ones out there. When it comes to retail, there's different marketplaces like Amazon, Wayfair, Walmart that you can get on. And it's not easy, but it's not totally out of reach. So it's something that you should think about. I think it's important for you to identify what your business is supposed to serve for you. Maybe you want it to just be a side hustle, a hobby that you do on the side. But if you want to have a legitimate business that you plan on growing and scaling, you want to have an idea on how to grow on these platforms. I kind of dropped the ball on this. I went on Amazon Handmade for a while, and because I have a meltable product, there's certain months that you can't do Prime, and I never sent my stuff back in there. And I also was approved for Wayfair back in 2021 and finished everything and didn't get back on it. So I wanted to share this so that you can actually get on these platforms and excel. I'm definitely hopping back on it this year, and I want you guys to also grow on these platforms. Know on these platforms that you're not gonna blow up overnight. You're gonna have to learn SEO and be on them for a while to be able to rank high up. So it's kind of worth trying to get into them early on. This is not something that I would say to do in the first month or maybe even the first year of your business, but it's something to think about and to keep in mind and to have a plan / strategy on how you want to get there. I don't know what number I am on right now, maybe 7, but it is to not shy away from finances, right? I read this book called Profit First by Mike Michalkowicz. It is literally a lifesaver when it comes to business. I will leave a link to the book down below, and it is literally a life changer for your business finances. The book pretty much talks about splitting your finances into 5 fundamental accounts, and so that you always know what money is delegated to what sections of your business. Some other tips that I have when it comes to finances in your business, which by the way, I am not a financial advisor. These are just some things that work for me, but that is to organize your receipts and use QuickBooks to do all of your finances. At first, you are probably gonna find yourself doing all your finances by yourself. However, when you start to make more money, I would highly recommend getting an accountant to do all that stuff for you. It's gonna make your life easier, and when you start bringing in more money, it's way less for you to manage. Number 8 is to know what you're getting into before reaching out to influencers. And so what I mean by this is make sure that you know your community well enough to know what influencers they're interested in and what influencers they would trust to purchase your product. I have never paid an influencer to shout out my products. However, I had such extreme luck with getting some of the most amazing influencers to shout out Skylight. By knowing your community and knowing what they like, you'll have so much more clarity on what influencers to reach out to. Like, for example, you wouldn't send a beeswax candle to an influencer who is vegan, right? So get to know your community first and get to know the influencers first before you're just sending products out to somebody that you have no idea or like background about. Some other tips that I have for you if you are looking or considering sending things out to influencers is, 1, make sure that you have enough inventory so that if they do shout out your product, you can actually sell some of it and have some available. And the next thing would be to not sell things that you don't have. Like, this can create a really hot mess, and what you should have instead is systems so that if you do sell out, you know how to get back in contact with those who were interested. And that could mean like different Shopify apps like Back in Stock and have those downloaded. Even if you feel like you can get the products out in maybe a day or 2, it's better to be safe than sorry than to have customers who would never come back to you again because their orders took so long. So that's just something to think about if you were considering reaching out to influencers. My final tip for anyone that is interested in starting a handmade business is not to be afraid of being cringe. Something that you are not going to be able to escape is the fact that you are going to look back at content that you made a year or 2 after your launch and probably laugh at it, right? You might be really stuck in your head of what people might think about it, but when you are starting a business, you have to learn to not care. Don't care about what other people think about you. Just know that you're trying your best and you're gonna get better with time. It's important that you have fun with it and you give yourself grace. And if it's something that doesn't work out, allow yourself enough grace to pivot. You are in charge of your life and you can do whatever you want. Just don't let fear stop you from doing anything that you wanna do. All right, guys, that's a wrap for today's video. If you liked it, let me know by hitting the like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe to see an upcoming video of me sharing how I won the grants in my business and soaring the friendly skies as a new student pilot. I'll see you guys in the next one.